Hello YouTube, Robin Hood Bricks here, and today I'm going to be building an assortment of coin-operated amusement machines for my beach and boardwalk area. Now before we get started on the first of 4 machines, I do want to give credit where credit is due. Each of these designs has been inspired, at least in part, by the internet. So I don't have any specific names to credit because it's really impossible with Lego to see who did what idea first. And sometimes I've borrowed a little bit, and sometimes I've borrowed a little bit more in the production of these. So I would recommend that any of you, when you're building a little MOC, that you do go online for inspiration, because chances are some other people have had some fantastic ideas. And I do believe in sharing ideas in Lego. So when I refer to something as a MOC, I mean that it's not an official Lego set, not that I've completed it completely isolated from all other influences, because I just don't think that's very realistic. Right, so the first machine is a punch bag machine. And you often see these around sort of beach areas and amusements and so on. So a bunch of lads can decide who is the strongest amongst them by each thwacking a punch bag as hard as they can, and then the machine gives you a score. So the machine's punch bag can be made quite easily using 2 of these sort of curved brick pieces that clip together. Same sort of setup that's used for making balloons for children to enjoy. So there's our punch bag. And then they usually have quite a visible scale on them. So I'm going to use this 2x6 plate just to have 3 red, then 1 yellow, and then 1 green round 1x1 plates on it, just so when you hit it the sort of scale lights up depending on how hard you've hit it and how well you've done up there. And then put some more plates on and a jumper plate on the bottom. So there is our scale. It's a bit hard to see in black. There is our punch bag, and then for the base I've got a black 2x2 jumper plate, and I'm actually going to use a bit of a studs on the side technique. If you push a 1x2 Technic brick onto a jumper plate, it just means you've got a hole presented upwards and 2 studs on the side. And on those 2 studs on the side, I can put a little bit of controls, and maybe that's where you put the coin in so you can play the game or whatever. And it's originally a speedometer and things like that from an old car set, usually from adventurers sets in the late 90s. Like set 5976, River Expedition. But I think it's appropriate here because it can sort of whiz round when you give it a thwack and so on. So there's a nice little base that I can put my 1x2 jumper straight into to create a nice tall structure. And then all I need is something to hang the punch bag off. So I've got another bracket piece and clip on the top, another 1x2 jumper plate, and then one of these curved slopes with a 1x1 plate as well. So then that can be mounted on the top, kind of like a big nose, I suppose. So it hangs off, and there is the punch bag attached. So it's a very simple build, but I think you'll agree that it looks exactly like what it's supposed to be. So when Robin comes along, gives it a good hit, and would probably score a massive score, obviously, then yeah, I think that's a pretty good result. I like that. So there is number 1, my punch bag machine. Now the second machine I want to build is a fortune telling machine, and I kind of got the idea from the film Big from 1988 starring Tom Hanks, and in that film, if you're not familiar, the boy version of Tom Hanks uses a Zoltar machine, and here's a picture of one. In fact, this is the genuine one from the movie, according to the caption in the glass there. He uses one of those because he's too short for a ride at the fairground and he wants to impress a girl. So he puts in a coin and actually has a wish, and his wish is to be big, and the machine, the Zoltar machine, gives out a little slip of paper and it says your wish is granted, and it's all very spooky because then he looks at the back of the machine and sees that it's unplugged. So where did it get its power from? How did it work? Anyway, in the morning, he wakes up as Tom Hanks, an adult. So he's a child in an adult's body, and I won't spoil the rest of the film, but that's the sort of thing I'm going for here. And Zoltar was this sort of turbaned, sort of mystic-looking magical character from the East. So I thought, who better to use as my Zoltar than the Series 16 Desert Warrior with his little gold wrist gauntlets on and things. And obviously I've got rid of his legs because we aren't going to see his legs because he's going to be in a machine. So this is a machine based on a 1x4 base, 4x4 base rather. And I'm just going to give it 4 little feet, like that. And then it's a very ornate machine, so these bits aren't really doing anything other than adding a bit of ornament. But they're 1x1 modified bricks with warm gold round tiles in the front. And then we kind of need to block off the next bit, so just some bricks. And then we need a little slot for where the fortune comes out. So this is where I'm going to bring the accent colour in, which is this dark green. And I picked dark green because of his turban. So I'm going to have a 1x1 plate and a 1x1 tile. And then this I'm going to use to represent the fortune. So it's kind of like a legal letter, but that'll do. And I'll have that in the process of being spat out by the machine. And then we can add the next layer, which is this modified, I mean, you could just use normal plates, but it's a modified plate with a hole in the middle. And before I push that down, I just need to get another 1x2 plate in the dark green. So when I do that, it's a very sort of thin slot that the fortune is coming out of. There we go. Then I just need to add a jumper plate here. And he's kind of got a crystal ball type thing and a real thing, but I thought this would do just as well. It's just a trans light blue sort of diamond or gem or jewel. And then Zoltar himself can just be attached in that remaining space. And I've done his arms in that position, so he looks like he's going, ooh, and reading your fortune and predicting the truth and granting wishes and all the rest of it. So then for the next step, one's tried to escape. I just want some more ornateness. So I'm doing a kind of a pillar. You could do this any way you wanted on each of the 4 corners. And then we need a panel in white, 1x2x3 on the back, but then in clear on the other 3 sides. Now it might be you have to lift him up a little bit just to get this in. There we go. And there is the 3rd one. So there is our machine, and there's Zoltar in there. And I think he looks rather fantastic. So now we just need a lid. So another 4x4. And I've added dark green 1x1 tiles on the corner. I just looked at what I had really in the right colour scheme. And I had those, so that's why I've gone for that. And then the only other part I had in dark green was this sort of dome piece. So I thought I'd add that as well, and another gold tile just to get rid of the stud. Yeah, and I think that looks kind of like his turban again, and kind of like the dome you might get on a kind of Eastern building. So I think that looks quite good. Lots of gold, making it look really ornate. So then somebody could use it like that. And I think this is probably about the right scale, because they're pretty big, these machines. And anyway, we can't really make it much smaller than that. So there is my fortune / wish granting machine. Now to make this even better, I thought I would add a sort of Tom Hanks character. Now in the film, he does go back home as a child after getting his wish granted. And then overnight he changes and wakes up in adult form. But obviously I can't have all that in my scene. So what I thought I would do is add a child that's instantly grown into a man, looking pretty surprised. So I've got a surprised face on. What I've tried to do is make it like a child's body. So I've got bright red trousers, no grown man would be seen dead in. A shirt which is so small now because he's grown, it's gone right up his sleeves. And he's got a child's sort of cap with one of those propeller pieces in the top, which again, no adult would wear. So when he's sort of almost shocked leaning backwards or something like that, or maybe I have him sort of fallen on the floor with shock or something like that, I think that'll work rather well as the scene from Big, just done a la Brick Nottingham. Now, the third machine is definitely the most complicated. This is only the first stage of it, and it is an air hockey table. Now, if you don't know what air hockey is, it's probably something you have seen. It's where there's a table that fires lots of air up that supports a puck, and then two people with bats will hit it sort of to and fro, trying to get it into the other one's goal. And it's a great fun game. And if you're anything like me, you'll be pouring with sweat when you've finished playing it because it's pretty frenetic. So the first stage is just to build the play surface. And I'm just using some random colours here because they won't be seen. So I'm just using ones that are less useful elsewhere. And you can pretty much do any combination of white tiles and jumper plates as you like. But you will need to have three little studs showing at the end. So that's going to be my play surface. And then we get two of these 1x4 modified bricks with the studs on the side, and we do them sort of non-symmetrically, kind of like that. And then we can use the two 1x2 ones to fill in the spaces that are left. So we actually end up with a 5x3 structure. It's a bit of an odd shape, but very important. And then we can add our play things on. So there's the two bats and then the puck going in between the two. So you'd be batting it around. So that is the first step. Now for the sides, we need to build a structure that's 5 long. So we've got a base there, which I've used a 2x4 and a 1x2 just to make up. And then we can add two black 1x2 plates in positions 2 and 4 of 5. And then we need 3 of these pieces. And these are the modified plates with this kind of horizontal bar in between them. And we have the outside ones facing down. And the middle one facing up. So it's kind of like that. And it's not held together yet. This is relatively fragile, this, but all these sort of micro builds and things like vending machines and stuff end up being quite fragile. And then we just want to tile it. So I'm going to do a 1x2 and two 2x2s to make the side. Now these are the feet to support the machine, and this is to support the overhead scoreboard canopy. So we just clip that on there, and you see it's just the right height to have a little bit of a lip to keep the puck in play. So there we go. So there's one side, and here's the other one. Now the only difference here is I've actually put a 1x2 jumper plate in the middle there rather than tile, and that's just so I can put one of these orange, trans orange cheese wedge pieces on. And that's because that's representing the sort of coin slot. They were often orange back in the day, and you kind of put your coin in one side of it, and then if it got stuck, you'd press the coin reject button, and that's what this is representing. And it was always that sort of bright orange. So if you've seen those, you'll know exactly what I mean. So therefore, the coin is on one side and not on the other. So there we are. So those are the sides, and the ends are even simpler than that. We've just got two of these 2x2 curved slopes, and under one you can put a 1x2 plate, and that will need to go on one of the studs that we've got showing on the side. And on the other one we'll have one of the 2x2 corner type ones, and we'll do that and fill in the gap with a 1x2 tile, and then we can put that on the other stud. Now that's important because the little hole that's left is the goal. That's where you're trying to get the puck into your opposing player's goal. So then we've got the other one, which will go on in exactly the same way, and therefore enclose the playing field with 2 goals. That might need straightening up a bit because it is, as I say, a bit wobbly, but looking good. And then the last bit to complete it all is the sort of canopy scoreboard bit. And this is really important part for it. it's the same piece as we used before, except it's got one of those sort of horizontal bars on both ends. So modified plate with horizontal bar times 2. And then we get 2 of these robot arms and clip them on each side. And on the underside you want a light to light up your playing field. And on the top, well, mine's red, so I'm using a red 1x2 tile. And then we can clip that onto our 2 bits showing here. 1, 2. Oh, make sure it's centralized. And that looks pretty good if you ask me. Now for the 4th and final machine, I'm going to do a claw machine, or a grabber machine a lot of people call them, where you control the grabber that goes along and comes down and tries to grab you a teddy bear, and then it's got absolutely no grip whatsoever. And if you're anything like me, you've never won anything and you've never even come close either. I'm sure there's a knack to it like anything, but I haven't worked it out. But thankfully, I also haven't wasted loads of money trying to work it out either. So great. So I'm going to start kind of in the middle with this one, with a pair of 2x4 bricks. I'm just going to flip those over so I can build the underside. And I'm going to add another large brick on there. Then 2 1x2s, and this is going to be where the toy would come out if you were successful. So I'm going to put a 1x2 plate in there, and then the brick, the modified brick with studs on the side there, and then a 1x2 panel piece, so that is where it would come out. And then just so it doesn't collapse when you try and put it together on the surface, I just level it off with another 1x2 plate there in yellow, and add some feet so it looks good from every angle. Oh, there we are. So there is my base with my chute, and the rest of the machine can go there. Now I want all my controls on the front, so the next bit is to get a bracket that goes that way, add on this piece, and that's going to be my joystick. So that's the bit that I'm wiggling around to control the crane claw hand. And then to that I'm going to add a red 1x1 tile. And then I found this one in yellow, and since my machine's in yellow, seems like a good choice. It's got a nice exclamation mark on, so maybe that's the one you thwack to make it do the grab. That's from a number of DC Superhero Girl sets, including Lashina Tank 41233. She's kind of all dressed in black leather with a whip there. It's a bit niche. And then we need a coin slot, and that is just the round base part of one of those lever pieces. So normally it'd have this sort of black stick sticking out that you could sort of wiggle, and that's just so there's a little separate coin slot for this one. And then I want the usual sort of coin reject type button next to it, so we've got a full bright control panel, and that can fit kind of on the underside of that gap we've got in there. So if I just pull out the chute, you just see it's on the underside of that brick. Push that back in, it's all nice and snug now. And then I can build the base of the next layer, which is just a black layer of plates, except I've deliberately left a 1x2 space at the back because I'm going to use one of those brackets just because I need a little bit of a lip at the back, as we'll see shortly. So it looks like that. So there is our base for our claw machine. Now the next bit, it's got 2 windows with glass pieces in, and that's why I need the lip there, just so it won't open, because I want as much room in there as possible, but I don't want that flapping open and all the prizes falling out. One on the front, and that can't open because of the position of the joystick, so that's fine. And then on the sides, I'll just use 2 more of these 1x2x3 panels. So there is our machine. Now while we've got it open, I'm going to put the toys in. So I've got 3 pink, 3 orange, 3 purple, 3 red and 3 lime green, just so it's really bright in there. Oh, I've already lost a couple. Try and tip those in. Yep, I think I found them all. So we've got a nice assortment of toys, and they're obviously soft toys and God, they have all sorts of things in there, watches and things like that. So that's them. And then all I need is the top. So the first thing to do is to add a couple of tiles, 1x4s, just to hold all those pieces of the layer below together. And then you need a 2x4 Technic plate. And into that, the other vital bit is one of these, sort of a camshaft type piece. I don't know what it's called. It's a Technic one that looks like that. That's what it's called. And that needs a grabber, which you've probably got loads of, because you always get a spare. And then on the other hand, you need one of these to go in the top, and that would link with that through one of the holes, well, the middle one to be exact. And the good thing about that is you can actually control the claw. So you can actually give it a wiggle. And then we put that whole structure on the top. And there we have our machine. You can actually do a bit of grabbing with. So that's really good fun. But what I love most about this one is the assortment of toys inside and the really, really bright colours. So I think that is a good scale as well, and is very ripe for putting on the beach and boardwalk scene of Brick Nottingham. And here are all our 4 machines together: the air hockey, the punch bag machine, the claw machine, and the Zoltar machine. Yeah, really good. I think my favourite, oh god, they're all so good. I think my favourite has to be the claw machine. I mean, I want to say Zoltar, but the claw machine is just so bright, and it's even got the movable claws, so I think that's my favourite. But what is yours? Do let me know. Right, let's go and put these in Brick Nottingham. Now, originally it was my intention to have a lot of these coin-op machines down this alley leading to the entrance to the Crazy Golf that we did last time, but I just don't think there's enough room. Essentially, if we put the air hockey table in, for instance, I mean, it leaves so little space to get by. I don't think that's going to work at all. Maybe one of the taller machines like the Zoltan could go at the end, something like that, but it definitely distracts from the Crazy Golf, which I've got a lot of amendments to do on from last time, but I haven't done them yet. Don't be too worried about the flags, they are coming back. So what I did think was, I still got this problem area over here, and it's quite a broad pavement because we've kind of got a double pavement. We've got that one that goes all the way through over the railway tracks for the pedestrian crossing. So really we've got this vacant area, which is quite large up here, and it's kind of a continuation of the boardwalk. We've also got this area down here, just behind the Ill Pig, and that was always an area I was going to stick one of these taller machines, but I realised there's also another space just the other side of this banister here. So I reckon I can do 1, 2, 3, 4, and I think that'll work quite well because there's no real use for this pavement as it is. I know it's near the road, and I know a lot of you are going to say, well, all you need is a bit more fencing. I'm not going to add any more fencing. And while we're here, and while we're changing all the tiles and things, I think I will remove this sign, which was a viewer suggestion, because it kind of blocks the thoroughfare, just to move it sort of slightly nearer the edge, which means I'll be knocking it probably all the time, but we'll try that for a bit. And speaking of viewer suggestions, further along the beach, I've given the lifeguard on the tower one of those floats, just like the ladies have got, which I got on one of my recent hauls. And the ladies already got theirs, doing their patrols. I just love that scene with the guy there checking out the lifeguards, and his missus is not very pleased with it. Other changes I made, I added the baggage sticker there to the baggage area of the station. I quite like that. I think I'm going to keep that at least for a bit. And then another viewer suggestion was to add a red telephone to my telephone kiosk on platform 4, and that just looks great. That was a great suggestion, thanks for that. I've done that with a big red telephone handset, and that looks really, really good. So that's just there at the end of the platform. Great, so I'm going to probably get out my jackhammer and dig up all of this pavement so I can place these machines. Now here's one more amendment I forgot to tell you about. This backdrop, tropical backdrop sticker on the panel piece behind the main beach dude at the beach party. And I added that to that panel as part of my tutorial on my patented hot tea technique. And I think it finishes off the scene pretty well. But back to today. Here is our fortune telling machine, or dream wish granting device. And it looks pretty good at the end of the boardwalk there, I think. And there is our Tom Hanks character, our boy become man who wanted to be big, who's fallen over with shock on the floor. I've turned his cap backwards just so we can see his face a bit better, really. But he could have been wearing it that way, so I don't have a problem with that. Yeah, I think it looks really good. And the Desert Warrior looks very visible as well. And then further down the road, we've got the air hockey table and a couple playing on that. And they're enjoying themselves a great deal, it looks like. So I very much like that. And then we've got the boxing machine with the punch bag behind that. And I know it's not strictly realistic having these next to a road. I'm not going to add fences because it just clogs up the area. But as we saw, we needed quite a lot of area just to put things like this in that they wouldn't fit in an 8-wide passageway near the mini golf course. So there's only a limited amount of space we can use. So I've got to fill it absolutely to the brim to get the most out of it. Follow my design rules of density and diversity. But I think from a distance, if we pull out, we can see those 3 machines there. And I think they're good fun. Very bright and colourful as well. So I like that. And it definitely uses this pretty useless space as it was quite well, whilst leaving the pavement still clear for me to add pedestrians to. And then if we go all the way down to the other end, there I've added the claw machine. And I love that one. It's just so bright and colourful with all its prizes in. And I've tiled this area as well. I may be adding more sort of refreshment or stalls or something to this area. But for now, I've just tiled it all in. And you can see that I've used these white sticker arrows on a few of these tiles just to herd people in to the entrance for the Crazy Golf. So I think they work quite well as well. And I've added that second tread plate sticker. And I've started doing the amendments here. I have turned around a couple of the holes, including the windmill. And although it isn't facing us now, it does sort of help with the continuity of all those individual bits of the course. So yeah, I like that very much. I think it does fit at the end there. It sort of gives a bit of a full stop or punctuation mark at the end of that corridor. And again, if we pull out, I think it is in keeping with the area. I like that a lot. Good, so that's quite a successful day of building little MOCs. Hopefully you found those really useful, really good fun. Maybe you'll even try one yourself. Or give me any feedback you've got, which one's your favourite, if there's anything I could do better. But as a starting point, I'm pretty happy. So apart from the diner tables on the outside and a bit more sort of pedestrian traffic all around this area, I think we are done. Oh, and I did move the sign as suggested for the Krusty Krab, so it's not blocking the thoroughfare quite so much. Good, good. So as always, thank you very much for watching. It is appreciated. Do remember to like, comment and subscribe for more awesome LEGO videos. And next time on Robin Hood Bricks, well, it might be a special video actually, if I've predicted it right and nothing funny or untoward happens, because we're actually reaching 2 fantastic milestones for the channel, almost at identical timing. The first is reaching 10,000 subscribers, which we're just a bit shy of. And the second is reaching 10,000 supporters for our Lego Ideas set, Fast Food Corner. There's the back of it anyway. And those will be fantastic achievements both. So thank you all in advance for those. But hopefully we'll be doing the special next time. If I've mistimed it, then it will follow soon afterwards and we'll be doing something else. But whatever we do, I'm sure we'll have great fun as usual. So see you then.